fun.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Radio Works World. My name is Elles Lohuis and I'm here with Marina Nanny. And we're going to talk about following your life's purpose and how to do this really from yourself unconditionally. Now, I'm a coach. I was born in a small town in the Netherlands, and I spent a whole childhood traveling to the most remote places, high mountains, and everything. And a theme that's been running through my childhood and through my life is education, because my parents had no education. They were born before the World War II, and they really encouraged me to study. And being a high achiever that I am, I collected a whole wall full with masters and a PhD and all sorts of certificates. And I always had my plate full doing everything that I love. But all this ambition and overdrive cost me severe depression in my late 20s, because I realized that the dream I was chasing, for instance, climbing the corporate ladder, was not making me happy and fulfilled. I was living the dream of my parents, which is usually what happens when you really love your parents and you really want to, fulfill their dreams. Now, I love people and I deeply care for people. So I decided to make a career switch into education and coaching. I believe that even though my parents told me education is the most important thing you can do, I believe that education has to be geared towards personal development. Personal development and education, the keys to an equal and compassionate society in which we all thrive. And that's what I made my life mission. Now, I thrive in this now. I love it. I love being a teacher. I love being a coach. But 10 years ago, I landed as a volunteer in a tiny Buddhist monastery for nuns in the high Himalayas. Because as a teacher and a coach, I had the whole summer free and I wanted to do something different. And I fell in love with these nuns in the monastery. And I still spent long periods of time with these women on their remote mountaintop. I relished the solitude, I relished the really contemplative life. Now, the lessons that I learned in the monastery, complete dedication to your life's purpose and a lifetime of learning, I take with me in my personal life and my coaching. Because I really learned that you can't escape your life purpose. You can run and you can hide, but it will catch up with you. I've really experienced that I was not living my life purpose, even though I had a great life and I really thrived at what I was doing. I wasn't living my life purpose and I got really depressed and wasn't really taking the best out of me. And that's what I really want to talk about with you today, Marina.
Wow, El, I'm so grateful you are here. You see, it's very important for me that our listeners understand what life purpose is, because there are so many interpretations of this concept, and is a lot of talk about it, but somehow some of our listeners will have the instant reaction will be, oh, leave me alone, give me a break. What was the life purpose? What is that to do with me? I have to put food on the table. So you see, the reality people allow themselves to be in, it's stronger than their own vision. And to cross that bridge from where they are to where they could be and where they are designed to be, basically growing from the person who feels powerless, crushed under so many social demands and commitments, into the person who could deliver their true worth. It's a long way, but maybe it's not that long. Maybe with help in place, maybe following certain steps, maybe with guidance, you'll feel like dancing on the floor dance. You don't need to just decide I'm going to be in that corner of the room in the next 2 minutes. You just need to go with the music and enjoy the music and take another step and feel the music, and then you become the music. I don't know. What do you think?
I totally agree with you, Marina. And I think we grow into it, and some of us are very lucky. They grow into it earlier than others do. And some have to overcome major obstacles to grow into it. But it is growing into it. And I also want to set a clear statement that your life's purpose, your life vision does not mean you have to start your own business. Does not mean you cannot go into the corporate world, because I think there's a little bit of too much emphasis on, oh, don't go become a corporate slave, but live your life purpose and become an entrepreneur. It's not like that. I discovered my life purpose is serving people and helping them with their development. Now, does that mean I have to start a coaching business? Maybe, if I want to, but you can also do that perfectly. At the moment, I'm also a university teacher. And I have been a teacher at an applied university. And I know some of our friends are living out their dream life in corporate societies, in corporate organizations. Living your life purpose, really, it's not the form, it's the content in which you serve. And that is very important for people, I think, to understand. A lot of people say, oh, my life's purpose is to have freedom. Freedom comes with serving your life purpose. These are all perks, if you know what I mean, Marina.
Yes, of course. So it's just you become the cause of your own life, and these are the
Yes.
effects you create. So it's not
Yeah.
something you expect from others. It's not
No.
something somebody is obliged to deliver to you. You
No.
create and deliver value, and as a result,
Yeah.
you feel happy, you feel free,
Yeah.
and all these perks, as you call it, and I love
Yeah.
the concept, is all about creating a plan
Yes.
and designing your life, and reinventing your life is needed. So for
Yeah.
example, maybe you are you have your own business and it
Yeah.
doesn't work, and maybe it's not for you. Maybe,
Yeah.
like you said, you reinvent yourself, and from the person who is all by himself or herself, trying to figure out what to do next, you create a corporation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That
that's the answer,
definitely. Yeah.
so I think
It is
it's
a dance. Yeah.
so I don't think it's that much about I don't think people struggle with the academic sense of life purpose.
No. No. They.
I think they struggle with manifesting their life purpose. What do you think about manifesting your life purpose?
Yeah, manifesting your life purpose. That's really funny that you ask about that, because I'll tell you. After I finished college, I was beginning 20s. I lived in the west of Ireland because my first degree was in history and Celtic studies. And when I came out of college, also in Ireland, the unemployment was huge. But I had this really deep desire to share with other people what I know. So I started my own business. I had a language center on the west of Ireland, and I had that for 6 years, and it was very successful. Now, coming out of college and having your own business sounds like a dream, but for me, I found it really hard, because suddenly I had personnel that I had to, I had to manage, and I had people on my staff that were older than me, and I had huge problems with self confidence. But it was very successful. But after 6 years, I decided, I love serving, but I don't like having my own business at that time. It wasn't the form for me. So I looked for a form that was the form for me, and I came into management, and I served in a customer service management job. So manifesting your dream means very consciously looking inside and being very clear about, is this what you really want? Because from the outside, it looks so great. I had money. I was driving a four-wheel drive as a 23-year-old. I had personnel. I had great steady of income. But I went to bed every night with a beating heart, thinking, oh God, how am I going to get through the next day? And even though I loved the business, it just wasn't me. But to admit that and to say, look, people, I might look really successful, but this is not me. You have to be really, really honest. And I think manifesting your dream life is, first of all, go, be quiet, be still, and listen to yourself. Is this really making you happy? Is this the way you want it? And then sometimes you have to reset your inner GPS. You have to design your new life. Because I knew exactly what I wanted and what I didn't want. I wanted to serve people, but I didn't want to have the strain of the finances, of the new investments, of looking for the new offices and the buildings and being totally responsible for it. So I redesigned my life and have those aspects that I did like, serving other people, managing things that I really did like, but leaving the responsibilities of the money, etc., on the side. And that is, I think, manifesting your dream is really being honest to yourself. What would I like to achieve, and which parts do I like and which parts that I don't like? But being honest to yourself can sometimes be really difficult.
So why do you think it's difficult? Why do you think people, because our listeners find it difficult,
Yeah,
I find it difficult.
yeah,
Is this because of the pressure from others' expectations? Like you said, the first part of your life, you're living your
yeah,
parents' dream,
yeah. I
or
think it
is
is.
social conditioning, is limiting belief, or all of it? So why is so hard to look
Um,
into the mirror and not through the window? Look into the mirror and see inside instead of looking what other people through the window, see what other people want of you.
Well, I think it begins very young, like you said, with your parents or whatever, whoever is raising you with the conditioning that you do want to please people. My parents were very loving, and I did want to please them. So I did go to college and I got all those degrees. And I went into at first into a life that I thought would be good for me because, hey, my father was my hero. So he knew best, didn't he? And then slowly, we become aware of the cultural conditioning that we have and that can be very, very strong. That that can be a discrepancy. I know some people who, their life is totally aligned with the cultural values because it's their values too. But if there's a discrepancy, yeah, it's very strong. It's very strong that that life that others put on you. Because I remember when I sold the business, and everybody said, oh, you shouldn't sell it now because you're at the point where it's really expanding and you're growing. And, for me, it was like, oh, I just want to get rid of it because I don't want to drag a monster behind me. And, I remember the day before I signed the papers to sell my business, I was like, some of my friends were calling me, and this was on the landline because fortunately, we didn't have the technology yet that they could
I love
really.
that.
Yeah, and they said, Alice, are you sure about this now? We'll take you to the pub, we'll have a few drinks. Are you sure about this now? And people mean well, Marina. I often find, also with clients, that they say, oh, my parents this, or oh, my friends that. People mean well. We all want what's best for each other and for somebody else, but we don't know what's best for them because only yourself, and that's difficult. That pressure is just difficult, and
Well,
we just, yeah.
that makes me think of the way to hell is paved with good intentions. So
It is, Marina, and I think, and I found forgiveness in this way works really, really strong, because I felt like, especially in the end of my 20s, when I noticed that the corporate world wasn't really for me, I felt like a fool, and I was very hard on myself for making bad decisions again. First I sold my business, then I went to the corporate world. This was supposed to be heaven for me, and it wasn't. And I felt like a fool again. I didn't see that this was the way to grow into something. Taking action is the way to grow into something. Because if you don't know what you like, you just find out what you like by doing all the things that you don't like. You'll find out anyway and on your way. But forgiveness was a real key for me at the end of my 20s, beginning 30s, and saying, okay, I did all these things and it didn't work out, but I learned great lessons. I met wonderful people. I connected. And my parents and all the people who said that I was a fool, they mean well, and they still mean well. They're loving. But it's not my way, and now I have to listen to myself. And the funny thing was, Marina, in the beginning of my 30s, I already had a meditation practice for 10 years, and I still didn't listen to myself.
so
you know
so you see, I, unlike yourself, I did not listen to myself because I
no.
had to take care of my family. I was a very young widow, and
Hmm.
I had nobody else to rely on, and I had to rely on my ability to create value for my family. I was the
Yes.
only a single parent in a foreign country. I did not know to whom to talk.
Yeah.
I did not know even I could. I didn't even know I could talk to myself. But what I'll do each evening, I'll write down 5 things I done that day because I had no time for journaling. Of course, I
Hmm.
was working really hard. I never had a weekend or a holiday. That wasn't in my vocabulary, actually. So Only when I retired and I started writing books and traveling the world and meeting all
Mhm.
these people, total strangers from whom I learned so much,
Mhm.
including myself, I found this box with notebooks where I
Mhm.
was scribbling each evening, 5 things I'd done, and sometimes it
Mhm.
would be something really stupid, but there were 5 things. So anyway, so I put it together, and there were over 75 things I did, which I call it
Oh,
5 steps a day. So
yeah,
so then I start thinking. I said, "Oh my God, there's so much more to this," because this is what kept me going. I
yeah.
could not talk to anyone. I knew nobody. I had no time. I was working from. I was leaving 6 o'clock, coming back just after midnight. Um, I was always trying to not to please somebody, but to do my best for them. And I never thought of myself ever, ever for decades.
Mhm.
So when I retired and I found these boxes, and
Wow.
it's hit me that must be more to it. So I was looking into these notebooks. They're very old. um, Everything came back to me, everything.
Yeah,
And in that moment, I found inner peace.
yeah.
I found inner peace, and I realized that, you know what? Now is my time. And it's never too late. And it's
Oh,
never too
it's not.
early. And I turned my back on everything, and I
Mhm.
start traveling the world. So I've been to very remote places like yourself, and that's
Mhm.
why I'm very excited for our listeners. Tell us more about your time there. What happened? What
Mm.
was the first day like?
Oh
This
God,
is so
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, well, I came to the monastery 11 years ago now, and it was a tiny Buddhist monastery for nuns in the high Himalayas. And people may know that Buddhist monasteries are usually for monks because in those parts of the Himalayas, nuns did not really receive an education yet. The monks were very educated, but monasteries for nuns were usually without teachers because there used to be a very big gender bias in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Fortunately, it has turned the last 5 years has turned majorly, and nuns are studying too. But I was going with this. I was going all by myself to this tiny Buddhist monastery for nuns, 20 nuns, very young nuns from 15 till about 25, who had built the monastery with their own hands because they had a very clear soul purpose that they wanted a monastery in those mountains for them to study, work, and pray. Now, I came there and I had no idea what there had been two volunteers before me, but they didn't have pictures or anything like that. So I came there, and these nuns had the ABC of English, and I have no Hindi or Tibetan. And it was a tiny monastery containing 4 rooms, which was also a kitchen, and they cooked outside, and a prayer room, and it was very high up. And I came there, and the funny thing was, I immediately connected, and and the nuns looked at me and they says, "Oh, our teacher is there," and we hugged, and it was an instant connection, like you're in the right place.
Wow.
Now, well, I have to tell you, to be honest, the next day I woke up and I had my doubts because I had been bitten by fleas and I had caught head lice. And I thought, how and what is this? And I had traveled a lot, but I had never been so remote because there was no electricity or running water or anything like that. But it was an instant connection. And I knew that everything what I've done up till then, that was beneficial for these nuns. I could help them develop themselves in their monastery. So I learned how to do bookkeeping, and we did English, and of course they gave me a lot of lessons. But it was this instant connection, and we still talk about it because I go there every year. And I ended up, actually, I have to tell you this, I ended up doing my PhD on the nuns because at the time when I was going, I just gotten a grant from the Dutch government to do a PhD on entrepreneurship because I was always interested in entrepreneurs, especially solo entrepreneurs. And I came to the nuns and I thought, how am I going to spend more time with these nuns? How can I pull that off? Because my university also needed me to be lecturing them. And I thought, I'm going to reapply for a PhD grant. And I applied for a PhD grant, and I studied the way education is brought to the monastery, how the nuns use that in their daily lives. Because you probably know, Marina, if you get traveling, everybody in the non-speaking in the non-English speaking world, everybody's looking for English teachers. If you want to volunteer all over the world, you can volunteer as an English teacher. But I always wondered, in the most remote places of the Himalayas, where people don't even speak Hindi with their local dialect, what are people going to do with English language? You know, I
Question,
mean,
yes.
I'm still very much geared towards, input, throughput, and output. If we put English in there, how am I going to use that? Is it useful at all? So I did my PhD in social science on how people in remote places use foreign education to better themselves and to empower themselves. And we think they might use it in a very specific way, but they use it in a very different way anyway. So I did my PhD on that for 6 years, which allowed me to every year spend 6 months with them. So 6 months on the remote mountaintop, no internet, no telephone, nothing, and 6 months at the university.
Sounds like
And
a dream to me.
it was, it was like a dream, and I still sometimes look back and I think, how did I manage to pull that off? But I just set the intention to help the nuns with their work and study. And I just set the intention and it happened. And I finished my PhD 4 years ago and I still come back every year. I'm taking leave of absence to help the nuns. And I'm just back from February. I came back and we're sitting around in the kitchen of the monastery fortunately has a kitchen now. And one of the nuns said to me, she said, "Remember, teacher, when you came 10 years ago?" I said, "Yeah, I remember." She says, "I never thought," she said, "we would be like this now." She says, "Now I am a teacher," because she has just graduated and become a teacher. I said, "Yeah, now you have become a teacher. You can take it over from me." But people, the change in 10 years has been magnificent. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to watch that. But the biggest lesson actually from the monastery that I learned is you cannot escape your life purpose, because these women knew from a very, very, and they're very special, of course, but they knew from a very early age that they wanted to be a nun. And becoming a nun is not easy, because people always think, oh, it's so nice, you just live up there on a mountaintop and you get fed from donations from the village and you can just, pray all day and study all day. But becoming a nun is not easy, especially in a very male dominated society. Indian girls still have a very difficult time when traditional customs, and the girls there in the remote areas are still viewed as property of the family. So to become a nun is to go against the grains of your family. You're not going to help in the household anymore. You're not going to help on the land anymore. It's really, for the family, it's a loss of a workforce. These women some of them had actually ran away from home and hid in the monastery. And we had fathers coming to look for their daughters and everything. But the nuns always told me, "Teacher, you cannot live a life that you know deep in your heart you're not supposed to." I said, "But don't you, I said, "But sometimes you have to hide for your father." She said, "Yeah, and it hurts us to do that. But it hurts us more to be in a place where we cannot fulfill our life's purpose." And then sometimes I think, Marina, when I first heard one of the nuns saying that, I thought, God, here we are in the Western world talking about, our life's purpose all the time. And we have everything to our disposal to fulfill our life's purpose: education, money, everything. And we don't do it. We often don't do it because we are so grasped into the financial security. And of course, I know, Marina, bills have to get paid, especially when you have children, you have responsibilities. But there's always ways that, even if you're sort of in a life that you're not supposed to live, there's always ways to take little steps every day towards something. I have a client who dreams of making a world trip, which will take her 6 months out of her business. And she's so afraid that if she takes the 6 months out, financially she can do it, but she won't be connected to her customers anymore. So we're taking little steps now to prepare her customers for this and to make programs after she's back. There's always little things you can do to work towards your life purpose. Always.
Wow. So your last, I mean, this is
Yeah.
amazing. Um, you at the beginning you said we are going to talk about following your life purpose,
Yes.
and I love that because it's how our listeners feel. They are ready, most of them, uh, from what I understand from the feedback and their emails and their lovely
Hmm.
conversations. They are ready to follow their life purpose. Of course, it's hard
Hmm.
to drop everything, and they might need, as you said, to take little steps.
Yeah, you don't have to
Um,
drop everything.
like small victories each time
Yes.
they do
Yes.
something. They feel it's part of
Yeah.
their life purpose. But to me, happened in a very total different way. And
Yeah.
at the end of this, of what you just said about your story in the mountains
Hmm.
with the nuns, you said that you can't escape your life purpose.
No, you can't.
So this is what happened to me. You see, so
Yeah.
I had no idea I have a life purpose. I've been
No.
taught that I have to be a good person, raise my children, get married, raise the children, provide for them, make sure they are good people.
Yeah.
And I delivered that, and then I retired. And
Yeah.
when I retired, I had nothing. I was taking 150 calls a day. I never had a holiday for decades. I never had a weekend. And that was normal for me, working so hard, right?
Yeah.
So then when I look into these boxes, I I decided that must be more to life. So I start following my life purpose. Yes,
Hmm.
because I was traveling the world, people were
Hmm.
inviting me to speak on different
Hmm.
countries, different continents, different people, um, different missions, different events, and I was keep writing books about, not about the places. I wasn't fascinated that much about places. Of course, I love nature,
Yeah.
but about the people,
Yeah.
the greatness, and I start hoovering the planet for big ideas. And
Yeah.
everybody was telling me, big ideas. How are we going to monetize it? So I had to find a way.
Hmm.
But in effect, you see, everything, if I look back now, everything, all the challenges, everything that made me turn challenges into opportunities,
Yeah.
it is part of the process. I
It is.
cannot escape my life purpose.
No, you
Here
can't.
I am on Radio Works, 6 o'clock in the morning. If somebody is on the other side of the world and it's 3 o'clock in the morning for me, and it's afternoon for them, so be it. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't get tired. I only have a coffee a day, and
Yeah.
I'm always happy and excited, and I can't help it.
No, you can't.
So
And that's exactly how you feel when you live your life purpose.
so you see, I was hypnotized before.
Yeah.
This is my I don't like to draw conclusion because everything changes and
Hmm.
everything is a process. But I I think I believe that I was hypnotized before into not being myself, into not knowing what my life purpose is. And it's not about following your life purpose
No.
because you have it inside. So
Yes.
you can't escape it. You
No.
said it. You can't escape it because you already have it.
Yes.
It's all over you. You just
Yeah.
you are hypnotized into not seeing it. It's as if
Yeah.
somebody said 1, 2, 3, go sleep.
Yeah.
Don't see yourself. Close your eyes. Never look at you. Just chase something outside yourself. Chase this goal. Chase this buying this car, making this business better,
Yeah.
expanding. Chase buying this extra superb whatever uh,
Yeah.
car or house or holiday and is never, no one will ever tell you
No.
quiet your mind, stop,
Yeah.
come out of this hypnosis,
Yeah.
social conditioning or not.
Yeah.
You have the right to know who you are. You
Yeah.
have the right to understand your worth. You
Yeah.
have the right to able yourself
Yeah.
to help others,
Yeah.
because nothing makes you, if you think about everybody I've been talking to,
Hmm.
and sometimes there are very poor people from countries like in Asia or
Hmm.
South America, and they're so happy, with no
Yeah.
reason. And then there'll be corporate people, very, very powerful executives, and they're sick and tired.
Yeah.
life. They want to write a book. They want to escape. They want to go as far as the top of the mountain, like you did. And then they're insanely rich people,
Yeah.
and still they can't be happy.
Yeah. Of course.
Because happiness is not something we can achieve.
No.
It's something
No.
we have inside, and we
No,
can
it
just
is.
share it. It's all
Yeah.
about sharing.
Yeah. And sure, Marina, I think, you can be totally deciding not to live your life's purpose. That is possible because, to be honest, it takes courage to live your life's purpose if it's not in alignment with the cultural conditioning that you're in. And let's face it, it is courageous to step out and say, sorry. I know you all know what's best for me. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your concerns, but I'm going to do something different. That takes courage. And I know some people that just decided not to do that. And that is fine, as long as it is a conscious decision that you are making. If you say, this is my life's purpose, but I'm not going to go with that because I want to please this and this and this person, I prioritize that, that is fine. That is totally fine. But you have to also take in the consequences there. Usually people get depressed. Usually people get into addictions, or usually when people retire, it comes out anyway.
Yes. And they become, as they say, busy the right way. But
Yeah,
you see, and I'm thinking
yeah,
that when people, in Asia, people do massive celebrations if they have a wedding or a funeral,
yeah,
and I think that, I don't know why, but I feel that life is a little bit like that. So let's say when people get obsessed with creating, of having the wedding,
yeah,
and they start spending, and
yeah,
and they it's almost like they divorce before they get married because of the
yeah,
pressure, because they
yeah,
they miss the point. They miss what is the
yeah,
the real purpose of the wedding is the union.
yeah,
So life is the same. The real purpose of life is you being united with yourself and who you are, and bring yourself out, and share yourself with the world, and
yeah,
have a meaningful life.
yeah,
So somehow all this business going about your business, and not asking yourself the right questions.
yeah.
I-
But
I-
that's not something they teach you in school.
yeah, so could that be changed, do you think? I mean,
I think so.
what can be done
Yeah.
for
Well, to be
this
honest, Marina,
change, because
I
it's like a illness.
I know, but to be honest, Marina, I already see huge changes in education. Here in the Netherlands, I see, when I studied, there was no way we would ever get personal development modules in university. And we do have them now. And they're not just geared towards like debating or presenting, but they really, we teach our students how to reflect on themselves, critical reflection, how to challenge themselves intellectually. So I really do see a change in the well, at least in the system here in Holland. And also I see a change in the primary schools and even in kindergarten, where children now learn. I don't know how this is in other countries, but for instance, we have a great project here in the school at the moment where children from kindergarten learn the beginnings of mindfulness. In the morning, the teacher sits them down and they sit like a frog, with their own thoughts, and then they're encouraged to share their thoughts. I think that's wonderful. So I do see a lot of changes, and I do see parents going against the grain and saying the traditional education system is not what we want. We're going to homeschool, or we're going to do our own school, because we do like to put an emphasis on personal development. So I think there's a huge change coming, and I think that's wonderful. That is really wonderful.
So you are saying that teaching is gradually replaced by awakening.
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. And of course, it's still the traditional system where you still ask children from 12, 13 years old, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that's a totally inappropriate question, I think. Actually, my husband's from Tibet, and when he came to Holland and he had to do the course to become a Dutch citizen, and then the teacher asked him, "So, Tswang, what do you want to be when you become a Dutch citizen?" And he just looked at her and said, "Well, uh, just being me, of course." And he came home and he said to me, "How can you ask this ridiculous question?" I said, "Oh, I think what she means, what are you going to do for a living? How are you going to get your money?" He started laughing. He says, "Oh, that's not a problem. It will come," he said, "when I serve." But he has a totally different attitude on life. But here in the West, we ask children to become something in the sense of a job, which, yeah, but I see that it's slowly changing. I really think the world is slowly awakening from that. I really do.
Wow.
Fortunately, yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Wow. I had yesterday, I had a client of mine. She was telling me, I don't know what to do. I'm desperate. I want to sell my program, and I've done everything. I took all these courses. Please help me. And I
yes,
said, she said, I can't make any money. And I said, look, start serving and
yes.
money will come. I said exactly the same thing. And I'm thinking now, oh
But
my
it
God.
is true, it's true, and I've noticed it myself. At some point, I decided, I'm going to university teaching, and then also became a student guidance counselor because I had my coaching certificate. And then when I started serving, people came to me and said, "Well, why don't you do coaching also? For your own private business?" And I had sworn I would never get into business again, all the hassle with personnel and money. So that I have also decided, yes, I have a coaching business for the last 10 years now, but I'm a solopreneur. I don't take on any staff. Of course, I have a virtual assistant who does things for me, but when you serve, that's where it starts. It really does. And I so agree with you. Start from serving. Also, um, and this is one thing that I think I heard you also saying about your client when you tell me that she didn't know how to make money. We often don't value what we have. We're afraid to serve because we think, oh, what can little me know anyway that would be of benefit for others? And
Absolutely.
and that's what I also, because I also have these clients. Most of my clients are solo or entrepreneurs, and they're often, what I see is they put beautiful programs together, and when they're just about to launch, doubt creeps in, and they start doubting themselves. Is my program valuable enough? Can it sell? I said, well, if it comes from the heart, there's always value. If it comes from a place of service, there's always value. Always.
Wow. I'm so grateful you are confirming my own thoughts and my own because sometimes I wonder, am I right about this? But then I'm thinking, of course, it's the only truth. It's your heart. Speak from the heart, and then just reach out to people who need you because they will find you.
Yeah, and to be honest, Marina, if you look at yourself, you usually see what you created from the heart really serves best to people. But look at the big, everybody's always saying about these people who are so successful in business. Look at a Richard Branson, look at an Oprah Winfrey. They always served from the heart. They never created anything that wasn't them. And when they did, they admitted and it failed. Always, if you look at the big examples, if you look at the big entrepreneurs, they always serve from the heart. Donna Karan, you name the big designer, the big designers also in the fashion world, they create from the heart, and when they didn't, their collection flopped. There's numerous examples. Creating from the heart is still what works.
I was thinking that all these people who are out there and inspire us all, and
Yes.
they now are names that even perhaps even the nuns knows about it.
Yeah.
So They reach out to the most remote places on the world, and
They do.
to the darkness in anyone's life, and they brought the light.
Yes.
And they had their own journey. They trade the race for the journey, but
Yes.
they never give up. You
No.
see, so I read somewhere that all the very successful people, each one of them, they got bankrupt, or they started at least 12 times. So I'm not there yet, but so I'm thinking it's not only that you stop chasing outside goals, earthy goals, and you
No.
discover what you have already, and turn that into a product and serve the world, serve the
Yeah.
people who need you. But
Yeah.
it's also about mastering, because you see, let's say you are very successful, and overnight something, the market crashes down or something happens, and
Yeah.
they take all your houses, all your cars,
Yeah.
all your helicopters,
Yeah.
all your
It
planes,
happens.
and then what you are left with is yourself.
Yourself.
Nobody can take away from you
No.
you.
No. Nobody can.
You know, and actually, this is how bad I was, that before I retired, I never heard of Oprah Winfrey, ever.
Where
I
were
had
you hiding?
no, in the work, in my work. You see, so
Honestly?
for decades. So then I had a
Oh.
shock. I had a shock to my system. So is when I really start to understand what she said. She said that she had no idea that being your authentic self could make me so rich as I become. If
Mm-hmm.
I had, I've done it a lot sooner, so
Yeah.
so it's it's always you have a like a eureka moment.
Yeah.
So what was your eureka moment? Because I know we are about
Okay.
to end this episode.
My
I'm so grateful for your time. So
no, that's okay.
just tell us, what was your eureka moment?
Oh, I had quite a lot of Eureka moments, but I remember that I think it was about 2009. No, 2008. I came to the nuns first in 2005, 2006, and they didn't have a kitchen. They cooked outside, and in the Himalayas, especially in the winter, that's not really a good idea also for hygiene. So I made a little foundation, and I asked my friends for money, and they couldn't refuse, of course. And we built a kitchen in 2008, and in December 2008 it was finished, and it was finished on a holiday. Tsongkhapa is a Buddhist teacher, and his day of death is celebrated 21st of December at that time. And it was a day where we would, in the evening, they would do prayers, and they would light the monastery with little candles. And then uh, the candles were lit, the prayers were done, and we went outside. And the stars are beautiful in the Himalayas at night, especially when you're 5,000 meters up. It is just beautiful. And the moment I looked out with one of the nuns, and it was a huge star falling, a falling star. And Chosim the nun looked at me and she said, "Oh, quick, quick, teacher, it's a falling star, make a wish." And at that moment, I realized I had nothing to wish for. And there was such an aha moment. I realized that in that moment, everything was perfect. Now, I have to say, Marina, I didn't have that moment again, but I still can remember the feeling when everything was at place and I was at place. And that was such an aha moment because there was no wealth, there was no riches, there was nothing but being in good company and serving each other. That was such an aha moment for me. That it didn't take money, it didn't take effort, it just took flow by serving and being in each other's company. That was one of my aha moments. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And I want to tell you a little one, another one I had, I think was in 2010. Yeah, I was sitting in that kitchen with one of the nuns, and we're discussing the challenges because for them it is a challenge, especially when the economy went down and the donations, didn't start flowing in. We were discussing their challenges, and some of the nuns actually have left the monastery because it was too difficult, and they went to other nunneries that aren't as high up. And then one of the nuns said to me, "But teacher, you know, I can't leave because I'm supposed to be here. And if I don't live here, if I don't live my own life that is here, whose life am I living then? Because I can't really live somebody else's life because that's already taken. And if I don't live my own life, it's like I'm really like dead, isn't it?" And I was like gobsmacked. Not living your own life for them was a death, a walking death. That was such a revelation for me that you could think about it like that too. Because they only saw people who truly lived their message as being alive, having the spark. And the rest for them was like being death. I thought it was so nicely said. Of course, I don't say that to my clients, "You're death," because you're not walking your life purpose. But I thought it was wonderfully said. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope you are coming back here, Elle.
Yeah, of course I will.
Our listeners are loving this. I have so many. They want more, more, more. But we are approaching the end of our
Yeah,
first episode
of
together.
course. Of course.
I'm immensely grateful to you, Elle, for finding the time and for teaching us the same way you teach and the same way you lead and continue to make this world a better place. And you made a massive contribution to our listeners' life
Thank
right
you.
now. And
Thank you.
before we go,
Yeah.
there is there a key message you have for our audience?
My key message.
Everything is a key. Everything I wrote down like 5 pages now.
Yeah,
You can't
well,
escape your life
no, but
purpose. Follow your life purpose.
yeah,
But I'm thinking, follow your life purpose because you can't escape it anyway. And
yeah,
if
that is true.
money, it will come when you serve. What
It
is your
will.
key message?
Marina, I would just be so happy if everybody who listened now, after this show, would just sit down with themselves for 5 minutes and write down everything they're grateful for. That's all. If we can accomplish that at the moment, that everybody who listens to the show sits down for 5 minutes and listens everything they're really, really grateful for at this moment in their life, list it for 5 minutes, read it over again, and realize that you are so lucky to be living this precious life. And then realize you have the power. You've already achieved this. You have the power to achieve so much greater. You really do. But if you just list for 5 minutes what you're grateful for, you will get into that state of gratitude that allows you to see how much more you can achieve. Because often, Marina, and I'm sure you've experienced that too with your clients, we cannot see our own greatness. But if we return to the state that we're in now and being grateful for what we have now, it opens up. You do see the unlimited possibilities within you. If we can achieve that with the show, that people just take 5 minutes to be grateful, then I'm happy for today.
Wow. From both of us, till
Yes,
next time is lots of love
yes,
and follow your life purpose because you can't escape it anyway.
no, and take the first step today.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.